during the final checkout and launch.
One of those individual cleats weighs 1 ton. There are 57 cleats on each track, 8 tracks on each vehicle. There are 2 large diesel engines on board that supply power to generators that generate electricity to turn the tracks. Now, take note of this crawler transporter, how big it looks. On the way back, I'm going to show you something. Now, we're about to cross over what is known as the crawler way. This is actually the highway used by the crawler transporter to take the space shuttle out to the launch pad. The crawler transporter would actually straddle the grassy area in the middle. You would have 2 sets of tracks on either side of the grassy area. When the platform is on board, the outer edge of the platform would hang over the outer edge of the crawler way. So we're talking big. As a matter of fact, we're talking about a weight, including the transporter, the platform, and the entire space shuttle, of about 17 million pounds. Now, this is a figure with no liquid fuel on board. The vehicles are fueled at the launch pad, and I'm referring to the liquefied hydrogen and oxygen.
Is the crawler way. The crawler transporter moves the mobile launch platform and the space shuttle over this roadway to the launch pad. The crawler way, which is as wide as an 8-lane highway, was originally designed to support the combined weight of the transporter, mobile launcher, Saturn V rocket, and Apollo spacecraft, about 18 million pounds. In order to support this incredible amount of weight, 6 feet of earth was removed and replaced with layers of limestone and hydraulic fill, which was compacted. Asphalt was then poured, and a final roadbed of river rock was added to minimize friction for the crawler as it journeys more than 3 miles to the launch pad.
Here in Complex 39, we do have 2 launch pads. The structure on the horizon to the front left of the bus is launch pad A. That is where the space shuttle is. Further to the left of that, we can see through the treetops, is launch pad B. Now, folks, the only thing I know about the space shuttle is that sometime this coming week, they're going to move it back to the vehicle assembly building and try to make repairs on it in the building. And while it's in there, they're going to move the next space shuttle out and put it on the pad. Now, when the young lady starts speaking again, she will be referring to objects to our distant right. That is over in the Cape Canaveral section of the complex. That's the Air Force section. The Kennedy Space Center, which you're on right now, is strictly for the space shuttle.
The 2 launch pads and 2 buildings that you see to the distant right are where the Titan rockets are prepared and launched. It was here that the Viking mission to Mars and the Voyager planetary missions began. The tall structure on the horizon to the front left of the bus is Launch Pad A, used for most of the space shuttle launches. We will drive closer to the pad later in the tour. The space shuttle is made up of 4 main parts. The large airplane-like portion, approximately the size of a DC-9, is the orbiter. The orange-colored tank attached to the underside of the orbiter is a fuel tank, 154 feet long and almost 28 feet in diameter. It's used to supply liquid hydrogen and oxygen to the main engines of the orbiter until it reaches orbital altitude, usually about 150 miles above the surface of the Earth. 2 white rockets or boosters on either side of the tank contain a solid fuel used to provide the major portion of the liftoff thrust. Each booster is 149 feet tall, a little over 12 feet in diameter, and it produces just over 2.5 million pounds of thrust at liftoff. Launch Pad B. Notice the incline to the surface of the pad. This represents a 5% incline, which is negotiated by the huge crawler transporter as it makes its way toward the surface, carrying the space shuttle. The pad's surface is 42 feet above the bottom of the flame trench. The service towers on the pad provide access to the shuttle and have connections for fuel, electric power, and communications. Because of the large number of lightning strikes in this part of Florida, a white fiberglass lightning mast stands sentry atop the tower, rising 347 feet above the surface. A tower adjacent to the pad contains 300,000 gallons of water used during launches for cooling and sound suppression.
Now, the section of the service tower toward us, the stubbier section, lighter gray in color, that is a revolving or rotating service structure. It has wheels on the left-hand side. When the space shuttle is put up on the pad, this structure would swing around and enclose the orbiter. That would facilitate the exchange of a further payload into the orbiter bay and also serve to protect the orbiter from the elements. Now, this structure is kept around the orbiter for about 95% of the time that the shuttle is up on the pad. The only time it's swung into the open position, as we see it here, is more or less for certain tests, practice countdowns, and for the actual launch itself. It's opened up anywhere from 10 to 14 hours before the actual launch. And at that time, that is